Am I the a-hole for telling my wife her parents cannot sleep in our bed when they are house sitting? We went out of town a few weeks ago for a wedding, and my in-laws came from out of state to watch our daughter. We have a 3-bedroom house with a full guest room and bathroom on the first floor and our matter and kids room upstairs. Before moving in with me, my wife used to let her parents sleep in her bed when they would come visit, and she would go sleep on the couch. Well, she asked recently if they could sleep in our master room, and I right away said, no, I don't want anyone other than us and our kid in our bed, as it feels weird to me, and we have a guest room for, guests. This caused a big fight to happen between my wife and me until she finally caught on to my way of seeing things, but her mom was totally offended at the notion that she was not allowed to sleep in our bed. Am I the a-hole here because I don't want my in-laws sleeping in my bed? I asked my own parents about it, and they both said they would never even think of asking since they have the guest room already available. Look, everyone has their own levels of comfort with sharing certain things. Like, I, for instance, would never ever share a toothbrush with somebody. And yet, I've known a couple who, when they go on vacation together, only bring one toothbrush and share it, and I guess that's okay. But, everyone has their own comfort levels, and you have to respect that. And when you're in a relationship and it's both of your bed, then both of you need to be comfortable with that. And I get, I've had times where I've had guests and I've been like, please, you take my bed, you're the guest, because I didn't have a guest room at that point in time. Now I do have a guest room, and the guests get to sleep on the guest bed. It's a nice bed. It's a very high quality bed. It's not some cheap piece of, cardboard or something. It's nice. Sleep on the guest bed. It would be weird for you to have a whole guest room and for them to want to sleep in your bed. That's where you do naughty things. And sweet things too, I'm sure. But no, that's a private space. You're not an a-hole for not wanting other people to sleep there, especially when they have other options. So, not the a-hole. Don't share toothbrushes. He hate it. Am I the a-hole for sleeping with someone at my best friend's birthday party that I threw for her at my house? I, 20 female, decided to throw a surprise party for my best friend's 20th birthday at my house, also 20 female. I decorated my house to the extreme, had a custom red velvet cake made for her big day, her favorite dessert, and even ordered all of her favorite food. We have a couple friends over, nothing too big. We all had a great time eating, partying, and doing stuff we probably shouldn't. I'd say the party started around 5 p.m. and went on until 2 a.m. I'd say there were only 7 people in total who came to celebrate. Around midnight, it was only 4 of us, my best friend, me, and our 2 other really close friends. 2 of my close friends, let's call them Amy and John, 20 female and 21 male, decided earlier in the night to pop Molly. I don't partake in that kind of thing. I do smoke and drink, but pills aren't for me. But since they were all spending the night, my best friend Amy and John, I told them they were more than welcome to enjoy the night as they please. At this point, around 1 a.m., everyone is exhausted. My best friend was decently intoxicated, as was I. Everyone had already had the end of the night conversation where we say, yeah, I'm probably gonna head up soon, or man, it's getting late. We partied ourselves out pretty much. I get a text from my situationship asking if he can come over to, well, Again, this was at almost 1:30 a.m. at this point. As soon as I got a text from and read it, I told my best friend and asked her, hey, that guy I've been seeing wants to come over and I think he wants to sleep with me tonight. Do you mind if I invite him over since it's the end of the night? She gives me a look and goes, whatever. I get confused and say, well, yes or no, because I won't invite him if you don't want me to. It's fine, my name. It's whatever. I took this as an okay. He came over and we chilled for a bit, but then we went up to my room and called it a night. He left immediately the next morning, so he barely got to meet anyone. That morning, everything seemed fine. Amy and John made breakfast and my best friend went to work. Weeks later at a party, party, she decided to out me in front of a bunch of people, saying how disgusting it was for me to sleep with someone during her birthday. She never called me or texted me, and even the countless times we hung out after her birthday, she never said anything to me or even talked about it until one night out in front of a group of people we were barely friends with. We are no longer friends due to multiple other reasons, but this has been sitting in my head for so long. Tell me, guys, am I the a-hole? So, I don't think you're the a-hole. Now, I will say, even if it's like the end of the night and the party really is kind of wrapping up and everything, it does seem a little odd to be like, hey, mind if I call, or my boink buddy wants to hang out, so I'm gonna go do that for a while, but then it'll be morning and we'll hang out again. Like, that does feel a little bit like walking away from the party, even though it's already kind of ended. It's a weird gray middle ground, but you did ask. You know, that's the thing. You asked about it, and she gave the okay. She gave the okay in kind of a snotty way, like, whatever, but like, if she really had a problem, she should have gone, I don't know, I figure it's just us, and I was hoping maybe we could all we could put on a movie and fall asleep in the living room together or something. I don't know. Like, if you have a problem, say something. Communicate, folks. Open communication. What a wonderful thing. Do it. Try it. I love it. So, yeah, I think you gave her the opportunity. Like I said, maybe even presenting it. I don't think it's an a-hole thing, but I think it's maybe kind of sort of riding the line just a little bit, but you did ask, and she said okay, so yeah, no, not the a-hole. Also, with her bringing it up in front of a big group of people and not mentioning it before that moment, that makes her an a-hole. Not cool. Today I effed up by getting my best friend pregnant. Probably my biggest F-up ever, which will haunt me for the next 18 years. Just feels so surreal, not necessarily panicking though. I'm a 23 male, and my female friend, whom I've known for the most part of my life, is currently 22. I still remember us playing every day as little kids to hanging out almost every day as teenagers. We often went on vacation together, either with my or her parents. She was sort of like the sister I never had, and people now hearing that I got her pregnant feels almost like it's illegal. A few months ago, I was at her apartment, and both of us were super drunk, and yeah, it somehow just happened. It was good, so I guess in the following weeks, it accidentally happened quite often. We did use condoms, but she isn't on birth control. How the hell did she get pregnant? I know that there are a few who even get pregnant on birth control, but never thought it would happen to us. She took 5 pregnancy tests, and 1 week later went to the gynecologist who confirmed. We both can't bring it on ourselves to abort the baby, so we're keeping it. We're financially stable, so I don't think it would be a problem. We're planning on telling our parents this evening. So awkward since they've seen me grow up with her, etc. The only one who's been shipping us since day one was her grandma, lol. She still can't believe I'll have to spend 18 years of my life. Well, it's not even 18 years, it's a life commitment, lol. Too long didn't read, got my childhood friend. For those of you suggesting me to get a paternity test, yes, she even told me she doesn't mind if I'm doubting that the child is mine since the scenario is somehow unlikely. She told me she didn't sleep with another guy for the past 2 months. I'll be taking a paternity test, but I'm already 99% sure that child is mine. I mean, even with birth control, condoms, stuff like that, things happen, you know? It's a much smaller chance, but it is still a chance. And yeah, if the both of you aren't comfortable with the idea of abortion, then you've got a child. And I mean, it seems like you're willing to raise it, and you've been really great friends. So I don't know, maybe being a couple might work and you just haven't considered it because you've always had that friend relationship and this could blossom into something more. Or maybe you're just friends who raise a kid together. That doesn't happen all the time. It's pretty rare, I would imagine, but I think it could still happen and you could still be, you know, smart and healthy and whatever about it. So I don't know. I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it a F-up if you both seem to kind of be on board. Definitely a little early in life, but hey, my mom had me early, and we've definitely had a rough road of things, both of us in our own ways, but we're both happy and healthy and doing good, so I'm sure things will turn out just fine, you crazy kids. I met my old workplace bully whilst he was on a date. So back in June, I left a very toxic workplace of 8 years. I mainly left due to having a breakdown from being overworked, but this one particular person made working there even worse on top of the excessive work. This guy was 1 year younger than me. He was a 30-year-old man, the type of guy that appears to have peaked in secondary school, very jock-like mentality and childish too. He was a part of my team of 4. I was civil with him just because I had to work with him, but he was my workplace bully. Apart from just the general workplace banter, this guy, let's call him Chris, was relentless with his teasing. What would usually be classed as playful always pushed to bullying from him because he never knew when to quit. And if he noticed you were getting stressed or annoyed, he'd use you as a target of his teasing for the rest of the day. He would be super nice to you when it's just the two of you, but as soon as he had an audience, he picks his victim and will tease them constantly in what he would call playful. And if you ever got annoyed and stood up for yourself, he'd say he's only messing and make out like he's the victim. He's that type of person. One specific thing that he absolutely lost any respect I had for him was when I was still working there, some ex-employee wrote a very aggressive and angry review on Glassdoor about the company. Just because this person used a phrase that I use, Chris thought the review was me. As much as I proved that it wasn't me, didn't even have a Glassdoor account at the time, he was relentless with campaigning around the office that I was the one that wrote it. I also believe he told the boss that I was the one that wrote it once I left, and that's why I didn't get any freelance work from them afterwards. So, after I left my workplace, my old teams still have a huge WhatsApp that I'm a part of, and we still talk almost every other day. After I left, the group chat went a bit quiet. I assumed they made a new one of just them, which is fair, but the chat still kept going occasionally. I unfollowed and unfriended Chris on Facebook and Instagram because I just didn't want to be associated with him anymore. In the middle of the group chat, he broadcasts, "Why did you unfollow and unfriend me on Facebook?" whilst also adding me. He wrote this message at 6:30 a.m. I woke up to this message broadcast in the group chat. It peed me off. So I was honest and said that he's a bully, and instead of making it a big thing of it, I'd rather just remove him from the equation. I also said that it was immature of him to do this over the group chat and not in private. He didn't say anything. He just left the group chat and blocked me on everything. The group chat pretty much died after that. I was at the time livid. This 30-year-old man set fire to the group chat, saw what I said, and then ran off. I thought it must be a blessing in disguise because I finally got to say what I wanted to him, and now I don't have to acknowledge him again. But I was wrong. Skip to 3 months later. Me and my husband walking through town and stopping off at a pub to get some grub, and lo and behold, I see Chris there with a new girl I hadn't seen before. I was feeling extra confident and decided to approach. I went and said, "Hey Chris, long time no see," with a big grin on my face. Chris looking like a deer in headlights, the perfect kind of red cheeks. I asked him, "How are things? You doing well?" And he replied in a very normal way, clearly not wanting the conversation to continue and looking awkward as F in front of this new girl. She asked how we knew each other. I generously waited for Chris to say we used to work together, so I added on to that, "Yeah, it's quite funny really. Chris used to be my workplace bully. He's the reason why I struggled financially after I left my old job because he accused me of writing a hostile review to the company which I proved I didn't do, and lost me a lot of freelance work because of it." He was gobsmacked, face redder than a traffic light. The new girl clearly looking confused and uncomfortable. Neither of them responded. I didn't want it to carry on much longer as it wasn't really fair on her, but just to add salt to the wound, I said, "So is this your new girlfriend Catherine or is this Georgia? What happened with Sarah since someone said you were still with her last week?" All of those are completely true. He gets around. This girl goes from confused to angry in the blink of an eye and just stares at Chris. I just say, "Oh, whoops, I really put my foot in my mouth, haven't I? I better go. It was nice seeing you again, Chris," and walk off. My husband, whilst he felt bad for the girl, which I did too, but to be fair, I might have saved her from inevitably being dumped by him a few weeks later when he gets bored of her, was very proud that I finally got my closure revenge on him. It feels amazing. Like, I feel petty as F, but it felt good for there to finally be some consequences to this Chris guy being a D. I mean, honestly, if Chris got mad at you and tried to call you out while you were doing that, you have the perfect response. "Just messin'." Just like Chris used to say, huh, buddy? I'm just messing with you. But no. Sounds like the guy was kind of a jerk, and yeah, spreading around that rumor about you writing that bad review, like, they're the people who do, like, pranking and they're office bullies because, I don't know, they've got their own problems that they need to work through, but they think it's a way to make friends and joke, and they don't realize how crappy it is. But when you start spreading that stuff around, it's like, no, now you're being actively crappy, and if you were basically sabotaging her ability to get freelance work with that company once she left, yeah, no, you have now earned a bit of comeuppance, Chris, and, well, looks like you got it, buddy. So, yeah, I gotta side with the poster on this. It was definitely a little bit mean, but, it was deserved. Well played. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.